My name is Anna, and the day I learned my mother had quietly turned down Harvard for me, she told me it was about fairness. 5 years later, she was asking me to hire my sister. If something like this ever happened to you, I want to hear your story in the comments. Cold coffee sat beside my keyboard while I sorted through emails I had already answered once. Payroll reminders, a bug report, a calendar alert I kept snoozing. Then an old subject line surfaced in my inbox, forwarded automatically from an account I barely used anymore. Harvard Financial Aid Update. The office faded, replaced by the smell of lemon cleaner and the narrow kitchen in our Massachusetts house. The letter had been printed and laid flat on the table, edges aligned like it mattered. My name looked unreal in that font. Before I could reach for it, my mother picked it up. "We need to talk about what's fair." No smile, no pause. She folded the paper once, slow and neat. Emily stayed in the living room, legs tucked under her, scrolling. A credit card statement glowed on her phone screen. She didn't look up. Mom said Emily had tried her best and failed, that Harvard would be cruel in comparison. The word unfair landed hard, like it explained everything. I said there were options. A gap year, a deferment. 1 year wouldn't break anyone. "The deadline is this week," she said, already standing. "Dragging it out will only hurt your sister." A yellow legal pad appeared on the counter. Groceries, rent, utilities. The list was written in my mother's careful handwriting, totals added at the bottom. She said I was smart and could work anywhere. The family needed help now. School could wait. Emily finally glanced over and shrugged. "You're better at this stuff," she said, meaning money, meaning fixing things. Mom folded the letter again and slid it into the drawer beneath the phone. "Harvard will still be there," she said, and locked it. The key was small, almost polite when it turned. Something about that drawer felt heavier than it should have. I asked for a copy of the letter. She waved the idea away and said paperwork only caused stress. Then she added, casually, that she had already told them I wouldn't be going. The room tightened. My phone buzzed in my hand. A reminder lit the screen, counting down hours until the response deadline. Emily went back to scrolling. My mother turned toward the hallway, already calling out that I should start job hunting that afternoon. The drawer clicked again as she pocketed the key. The sound followed her out, sharp and final, while the phone kept vibrating, waiting for an answer I no longer had access to. I stood there, holding the phone, watching the lock reflect the overhead light. The job list waited on the counter, corners curling. Somewhere in the house, a door closed. The reminder buzzed again, softer this time, as my thumb hovered, unsure where permission ended and obligation began. My mother's footsteps moved away, steady, practiced. Work replaced school without ceremony. No campus tour, no moving boxes, just an apron and a time card. The cafe smelled like burned espresso and bleach, and my name went on the schedule in dry erase marker. Morning shifts bled into evenings at a warehouse across town. Weekends disappeared into overnight inventory counts. Paychecks came thin and regular, then left just as fast. Family updates traveled faster than anything else. Aunts called to praise my mother for raising such a considerate daughter. Cousins nodded solemnly at gatherings and said, "It must have been a hard choice." Someone brought up Emily's disappointment like it was a fragile object no one should bump into. The story stayed simple. I had chosen to stay home. I wanted to help. Fairness mattered. Money went straight into the family account. That part wasn't optional. My mother handled transfers at the kitchen table, glasses low on her nose, calculator clicking. Emily's expenses didn't pause. New shoes appeared by the door. A weekend trip showed up on social media. When I asked about it, my mother said, stress required treatment. "Retail therapy works," she added, not looking up. Between shifts, I scanned free course catalogs on my phone and kept notes in a spiral notebook. Numbers still made sense. Patterns still lined up. At the cafe, a coworker noticed, You learn fast, Maya said, watching me fix a register error without asking. Why aren't you in school? I shrugged and said, family stuff. She nodded once. If something feels off, don't argue, she said later, wiping down the counter. Keep records. That night, curiosity outpaced exhaustion. The family computer sat where it always had, browser history untouched. An email search took seconds. There it was, a confirmation from Harvard, time-stamped 2 days before the deadline. Declined. Sent from an account I didn't recognize at first, then did. My mother's backup login, the one she used for bills. The printer whirred softly. Paper slid out, warm. At home, the email went on the table. My mother read it, lips pressed together, then nodded. See, she said, problem solved. The words landed flat. Emily glanced at the page and smiled like it was good news. Guess that's done, she said, already moving on. Pressure thickened around small things. Relatives asked why I looked tired. A neighbor suggested gratitude as a cure. At dinner, silence stretched whenever money came up, which was often. My mother handled conversations the way she handled finances, smoothing edges, deciding outcomes before questions finished. One evening I asked about the original letter. She waved the thought away. There's nothing to return, she said. It's handled. A new document appeared that weekend, placed beside my plate before I sat down. 2 pages. Legal language. My name typed neatly at the top. Temporary financial authorization, according to the heading. It just lets me manage things efficiently, my mother said, until you're settled. Emily chewed and watched, eyes flicking between the paper and my face. Maya's voice echoed faintly, practical and unworried. Keep records. My phone buzzed with a shift reminder. The pen lay heavy in my hand. My mother tapped the signature line with one finger, patient, expectant. She mentioned deadlines, how banks liked clarity, how stress could be avoided with cooperation. This helps everyone, she said. The computer stayed where it always had, wedged between the phone base and a stack of unopened mail. Nothing about it looked dangerous. Still, every time it hummed awake, my mother glanced over like it had opinions. Late nights became routine. After warehouse shifts, shoes kicked off by the door, I sat at the table with the screen angled away from the hallway. Emails first, then bank statements, then login histories buried under menus no one else bothered to open. One address kept showing up, a secondary account my mother used for what she called family management. Bills, insurance, school portals, the kind of account no one questioned because it sounded responsible. Scrolling slowed when the Harvard thread appeared again. Same subject line, same polite tone. This time I opened the full header, the sender, the timestamp. 2 days before the deadline, sent from that account. So the sentence from the kitchen came back, clearer now. I already told them you won't be going. Not a slip, a report. Emily wandered in one afternoon while spreadsheets sat open. She leaned against the counter, flipping through her phone. Mom said you'd cover this month too, she said, casual. I'm short. The words didn't wait for permission. Rent, credit card, a subscription I didn't recognize. She rattled them off like weather. My mother's voice followed from the hallway asking if I wanted tea. Dinner that night moved fast. Plates clinked, conversation stayed light until I asked, gently, about the email. She didn't look surprised. That's not what happened, she said. You're confused. I mentioned the account name, the date. She pushed her chair back slightly, enough to signal hurt. How can you be so selfish, she asked, after everything I've done? Emily stared at her plate. The question hung there, framed as disappointment, not denial. The details went unanswered. Emotion replaced explanation, like it always did. After dishes, the laptop came out again. Copies uploaded to cloud storage with neutral file names. Screenshots labeled by date. Nothing dramatic, just insurance. A message went out to Harvard admissions, short and careful, asking about online options, deferred credits, anything that still existed on paper. The reply arrived the next morning, automated and cheerful. Thank you for your interest. The timing made me laugh once, under my breath. Interest implied choice. Interest implied a door that hadn't already closed. At the cafe, Maya noticed the circles under my eyes. "You look like you're studying for something you didn't sign up for," she said. I nodded and kept wiping counters, receipts lined up by the register, neat, predictable. Paper liked order. Back home, tension shifted. My mother hovered more, asked where I was going, reminded me about contributions, mentioned how fragile Emily felt lately. "You know she depends on us," she said. "On you." The laptop came out again after midnight. Login logs opened slowly, each click deliberate. Dates matched, times matched. The same account, over and over. Footsteps sounded in the hallway. "What are you doing?" my mother asked. She stood behind me before I could close anything. The screen reflected in her glasses. Cloud upload bar halfway across. Her hand moved fast. The laptop snapped shut, sharp enough to sting. "We need to talk tonight," she said. The bank notification arrived mid-shift, vibrating against my leg while I stacked boxes. One message, no explanation. Balance update. The number didn't look wrong at first. Then it registered. 0. A call to the bank took 7 minutes and a long hold. The woman on the line spoke carefully, reading from her screen. "The withdrawal was authorized," she said. "It was processed this morning." The word authorized sat there, finished. At home that night, my mother didn't wait for questions. "I moved the money," she said. "Just a loan. The family needed it." The paperwork appeared from a folder I had seen before. My signature sat at the bottom of the page I remembered skimming. "Temporary financial authorization," the heading read. The rest of the language now looked different, broader, cleaner. Absolute. "It's all legal," she said. "You agreed." Moving out stopped being an option. First month's rent vanished with the balance. A deposit check bounced before it cleared the mailbox. The landlord left a polite voicemail that sounded apologetic, not angry. Calls started after that. An aunt asking if I was okay. A cousin mentioning stress, how hard things had been lately. Someone said my mother was worried I wasn't thinking clearly. "She just wants to help," they said. At dinner, Emily didn't meet my eyes. "You're making this a bigger deal than it is," she said. "Mom's just trying to keep things together." I asked her about the expenses, about the trips. She shrugged. "You're acting like she stole something," she said. "That's dramatic." The word landed heavier than it should have. My mother nodded once, satisfied. Later that week, Maya listened without interrupting. No fixes offered, no disbelief. "This isn't about one thing," she said finally. "It's a pattern." She named it without dressing it up. Fairness as leverage, help as control, consent buried in paperwork. "There's no winning point by point," she added. "You'll keep reacting forever." At home, the atmosphere tightened. Doors closed more often. Conversations happened without me in the room. The laptop stayed locked in my mother's bedroom. Statements arrived already opened. A voicemail from the bank confirmed the freeze. Internal review. Access suspended. The phrase sounded neutral, like weather. That night, voices carried from the living room. Emily again, louder this time. "She's unstable," she said. "You can't let her handle money like this." My name floated between them, stripped of context. Packing started without ceremony. Clothes folded into a duffel. Documents slid into a folder. The Harvard email, timestamps highlighted, bank statements printed from what I'd saved earlier. The things that still existed because they weren't stored in one place. My phone buzzed again. "Account access restricted." Another notification followed, then another, each one shorter than the last. The hallway light flicked on. My mother appeared at the door. "Where are you going?" she asked. "Out," I said. She looked past me at the bag, then at the folder. "This isn't helping," she said. "You're proving my point." Emily stood behind her, arms crossed, expression set. "You need to calm down," she said. The front door opened. Night air slid in, cool and undecided. The phone vibrated again in my hand, the screen lighting up with the same message, repeated, impersonal. I stepped onto the porch as the notification refreshed, the account status changing once more, the folder pressed against my side, while the door stayed open behind me and the screen kept updating. The couch dipped in the middle, shaped by years of other people passing through. My things fit into 2 boxes stacked against Maya's wall. One held clothes, the other held paper. Everything else had stayed behind, either locked in drawers or filtered through someone else's hands. The bank app still opened, just to show the same number. 0 didn't blink or apologize. It stayed. Maya made space without making it a favor. A blanket appeared. A mug stayed filled. She didn't ask for a timeline. That helped more than advice would have. Nights stretched. Sleep came in pieces. When it didn't, the boxes opened. Papers spread across the floor in rows that made sense only to me. The Harvard email, the decline confirmation, the authorization form, transaction logs, dates circled, times underlined. For the first time, I stopped treating the situation like a misunderstanding. Silence hadn't kept peace. It had made things easier for everyone else. Waiting for my mother to stop had been another kind of permission. And Emily hadn't just drifted along. She'd learned which side paid the bills. The question that kept circling wasn't why they did it. That answer was everywhere. The question was narrower. What had I handed over without noticing? The signature on the authorization form looked small now. Careful. Written by someone who thought trust was a safety feature. The language above it didn't care about intention. It listed powers plainly. Transfer, withdraw, manage. No expiration date that mattered. Maya sat on the floor across from me, legs crossed, scanning one of the statements. "This isn't sloppy," she said. "It's consistent." She pointed to a name near the bottom of an old document, a firm stamp, someone who had processed everything before. "That's the accountant," she said. "He used to work with your mom. I remember the name." The name stuck, not because it was dramatic, because it was ordinary, a professional, a witness who hadn't been part of the family dynamic. "He's not there anymore," Maya added. "Different company now." The shift felt small, but solid. Family arguments didn't require outside input. Systems did. The pile rearranged, emails sorted by sender, forms by function, transactions by size. The pattern stopped looking personal and started looking designed. Calls from home went unanswered. Texts stacked up. Concern mixed with accusation. My mother's messages stayed calm, disappointed, almost reasonable. Emily's stayed sharp. "You're blowing this up," one read. "Mom's just trying to help." Help had a shape now. It looked like control with better branding. The plan changed without ceremony. No speeches, no closure talk. The goal narrowed. Proof went to people trained to read it. Feelings stayed out of it. Maya slid her laptop over. "Draft it," she said. "Just facts." The email stayed short. No history, no emotion. Names, dates, attachments. The old accountant's address looked unremarkable in the "to" field. The subject line stated exactly what it was: Financial Records Inquiry. My finger hovered over the trackpad. Not because of doubt, because pressing it meant something couldn't be taken back. Cutting off family wasn't dramatic. It was procedural. It meant future holidays stayed empty. It meant silence that wouldn't resolve itself. The cost felt clear, acceptable. "Whatever happens," Maya said, not looking up, "this is the part where you stop asking permission." The cursor blinked. Attachments finished loading. The email read clean, neutral, ready to be forwarded if needed. Send. The screen dimmed as the laptop closed, the boxes still open, papers still spread, the couch still sagging in the middle, while the message moved on without me watching, carrying dates and names and signatures to someone who didn't owe anyone fairness, only accuracy. The reply from the accountant didn't come directly. It arrived through a lawyer's office, wrapped in polite language and limits. "We can't release anything without a formal request," the email said. "There's already a filing related to this matter." That part was new. A packet showed up 2 days later, served properly, my name typed cleanly across the top. My mother's name appeared first, plaintiff. The claim outlined concern for my financial judgment, suggested instability, framed her actions as protective. The account freeze suddenly had context. She hadn't waited to defend herself. She'd gone first. Emily called that night. The tone had changed. "Mom's just trying to protect the family," she said. "You didn't leave her a choice." Questions stayed unasked. Rent, groceries, everything she needed came from the same place as before. Sides were practical. The lawyer skimmed the documents quickly, pen tapping once near the margin. "This isn't about your sister," he said. "It's about control." He pointed to the structure, the authorization form, the account routing, the timing after my father died, the way everything funneled back to one decision-maker. "She's done this before," he added. "Different scale, same method." That reframed everything without drama. The Harvard email stopped looking like an emotional move. It fit, cutting off long-term independence early. The authorization paper wasn't rushed or sloppy. It was familiar. A system works best when no one questions it. Maya sat across from me in the waiting area, scrolling through messages on her phone. She didn't interrupt. "This was never about Emily," she said eventually. "You were predictable. Stable income, good credit, no noise. I covered gaps without complaint. That reliability had been repurposed." When the accountant's office called back, the answer stayed the same. "Without a subpoena, I can't discuss prior clients," he said. "I'm sorry." The leverage disappeared in one sentence. Evidence existed, access did not. My mother's messages shifted again. Now they sounded reasonable to anyone reading them cold. "I'm worried about you," one read. "This process is for your own good." Another followed. "You don't have to make this harder." Emily sent a single text. "Just cooperate and this goes away." Cooperate meant stepping back into the same structure, letting the system reset, letting her keep the position she'd carved out. The legal filing expanded, requests for oversight, mentions of emotional strain. My mother's language stayed soft, maternal, credible. On paper, it worked. The lawyer laid out options without decoration, timeframes, risks, the reality that going quiet now wouldn't stop anything already in motion. "She's framing this as care," he said. "That plays well." The waiting period stretched. Messages slowed. Silence replaced pressure, which felt worse. Everything paused on someone else's calendar. At home, Maya cooked dinner like normal. The day still moved. Dishes stacked. Laundry turned over. "They're trying to tire you out," she said, folding a shirt. "Don't rush." The notice arrived the following week. Official. Dated. A hearing scheduled. My mother's name listed again above mine. The words looked heavier in print. Plaintiff. Respondent. A time. A place. Instructions. The paper stayed in my hands longer than it needed to, not because of fear, because the shape of it confirmed what this was. A formal version of the same conversation we'd been having for years. The phone buzzed once more, an alert from the court system confirming receipt. Another step logged, another box checked. Maya glanced over. "That's it?" she asked. I nodded. The notice went into the folder with everything else. Names, dates, attachments. The laptop stayed open on the table, email drafts unsent, while the calendar reminder appeared automatically, counting down days until the hearing. My mother's name anchored at the top of the screen as the process moved forward without waiting. The conference room was smaller than expected. A table, 4 chairs, a legal pad already set out like this was routine. My mother arrived early, dressed carefully, hands folded. Emily sat beside her, phone face down for once. No one asked how anyone felt. That helped. The mediator explained the process in a neutral voice. My lawyer nodded when it was time. A folder slid across the table, thick, orderly. "These are the records," he said. Emails went first. The Harvard correspondence, printed cleanly, dates highlighted. Login logs followed, each one tied to the same secondary account. Thanks statements came last, withdrawals lined up with the authorization form. My mother watched without moving. "That's not what it looks like," she said when the mediator glanced her way. "She's misunderstanding basic financial management." Emily nodded, quick and practiced. "She's always been bad with stress," she added. "She spirals." The mediator asked for clarification. My mother leaned in slightly, voice calm. "I was protecting her," she said. "She wasn't capable of making sound decisions." The words landed as intended: maternal, reasonable, familiar. The next item didn't move as smoothly. My lawyer placed a phone on the table, screen dark. "This is a recorded call," he said, "with the accountant who handled the family finances." My mother's eyes flicked to it, then back to the mediator. "That won't be necessary," she said. "This is becoming excessive." The mediator raised a hand. The phone lit up. Audio filled the room, clear enough. "I need control over the accounts," my mother's voice said, steady, transactional. "She won't argue if it's framed as fairness." A pause, paper shifting. "She's reliable," she continued. "That's why this works." Silence followed. No one rushed to fill it. Emily's head turned slowly toward my mother. "That's not," she started, then stopped. The mediator asked a question. My mother opened her mouth, closed it, then tried again. "Is this really necessary?" she asked, tone sharp now. "This is family." The lawyer answered instead. "It's relevant," he said, "and it's admissible." The rest moved faster. Authorization revoked, temporary measures enacted, accounts flagged for review. The language stayed procedural, stripped of emotion. My mother tried once more to redirect, but the structure no longer supported it. The mediator summarized findings without emphasis. My mother's role shifted on paper in real time. Control removed, oversight applied. Emily stayed silent, hands clenched in her lap. A staff member collected documents from my mother's side of the table, sliding them into a manila envelope. The seal pressed down with a soft sound that carried more weight than it should have. My mother stood halfway, then sat back down. "This isn't over," she said. No one responded. The mediator thanked everyone. Chairs scraped. The meeting dissolved into hallway movement. My lawyer spoke briefly, already discussing next steps. Behind us, my mother remained seated, staring at the envelope, now out of reach. The phone in my pocket buzzed once, an alert confirming the account status change. Another followed, then another, each one logged, time-stamped, indifferent. Emily stood near the door, eyes fixed on the floor. "I didn't know it was like that," she said quietly. No answer came back. The hallway swallowed the moment as people passed, files tucked under arms, conversations overlapping. The elevator call button lit up. Doors opened. My mother stepped out last, posture tight, expression set, while the sealed envelope stayed with the staff member, carried away toward an office neither of us had access to anymore. 5 years passed without ceremony. No countdown, no announcement. The company grew the way most things do when no one is watching closely. Slowly, then all at once. Contracts signed. Headcount doubled. A valuation number appeared in a document one afternoon and stayed there, unchanged, while everyone in the room nodded like they understood what it meant. The lobby still smelled like new paint. That part hadn't changed. Emily's name came up again through a third party. Bankruptcy filings tend to travel. The tone was factual, stripped of drama. Credit exhausted, no guarantor, no one stepping in to smooth it over this time. Linda called my office directly, not the number she used to know, the one listed publicly. "I won't take much of your time," she said when the call transferred through. "I just wanted to ask something." The request came without build-up. Emily needed work, something steady, something simple. Linda didn't apologize. She didn't explain. The words stayed practical, almost rehearsed. "I thought maybe you could help," she said. "Just an opportunity." There was no anger in the room when the call ended. no satisfaction either. HR policies already existed. Job descriptions were public. Applications went through the same system for everyone. Emily applied online like anyone else. The role was entry-level, front desk, schedule posted weekly, pay fixed, no discretion built in. She showed up on time the first day, hair pulled back, badge clipped where it was supposed to be. The nameplate read Emily Miller, no title beneath it. Linda stood near the entrance, hands clasped, watching her take the seat. No one acknowledged her presence. Security protocols didn't require it. Emily looked up once, briefly, eyes flicking toward the office hallway. Then the phone rang. She answered it. "Good afternoon," she said. "How can I help you?" The work stayed work. Calls routed. Visitors signed in. Lunch breaks taken on schedule. No shortcuts appeared. No favors attached. Linda didn't come back after that. Communication narrowed. Messages moved through legal counsel or HR when needed. Family topics stayed out of it. That boundary held because it was enforced quietly, consistently. An email arrived confirming the hire. Standard language, start date, payroll information attached. It went into a folder already set up, labeled without ceremony, Family Events. The name caught for half a second, then the laptop closed. Emergency contact information updated next, old numbers removed, new ones added. Two-factor authentication reset. The system accepted the changes without comment. At the end of the day, the office emptied in stages. Lights dimmed automatically. The lobby desk stayed staffed until the last scheduled minute. Emily logged out and stood, badge unhooked and placed in her drawer like she'd been trained to do. "See you tomorrow," someone said in passing. She nodded. The door locked behind me with the same sound it always made. The key slipped into my pocket. The building settled, systems powering down one by one, indifferent to who had walked through earlier or why. The sidewalk outside was still warm from the sun. Traffic moved steadily. Nothing waited for a reaction. Tomorrow's calendar already held meetings. Next quarter projections sat unfinished. Life continued, not in a straight line, but in something workable. The lights in the lobby clicked off behind the glass as I stepped away, keys in hand, leaving the building to do what it was designed to do: stand, function, and close at the end of the day, without asking who belonged there or how they arrived.